that's nice, isn't it? It's like it's... Pardon? Oh, it's ever so nice, isn't it? It makes me feel like I've died and it's celebrating me. Imagine if I have died and you're all now looking at nothing. Oh, hello. Yeah, anyway, hello. I'm, what have I got in my pocket? My car keys, that's where they went. Fantastic. It's relieved some stress. It's directed me to my keys. What am I on about? Hello. Oh my God, no. Wait a minute. I'll tell you this quickly, and then I'll start. But this might make you hate me. Well, so I do think. Well, just don't judge me. It's I imagine there's not judgment here, but maybe for this because it's. So, I think I'm about to lose my driving licence because I've been, in theory, I've been speeding. This is what makes me, that's what makes me terrible. I've never done over 70. It's in my latest, I've only been driving 2 years as well. And the latest escapade is on the motorway. Who's setting 50 on the motorway? So I was doing 66 on a 50, but let me tell you for why. I was uncomfortable, and then for some reason I have I've crossed my legs whilst driving. And then my leg got stuck on the Yeah, but there's not when the Derbyshire Constabulary sends you the letter about it all. There's not space for that. Why did I tell you that? Oh, because I'm worried about. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't drive. Probably shouldn't mention that because Paul's having a lift home with me later, and I feel like you're already terrified of my driving. Yeah. Oh dear. But it's laugh a minute, isn't it? No. Hello, anyway, I'm Harriet Dyer. I'm a comedian, and I guess if I'm known for shave my knee for this. I think if I'm lying, I'd never shave. Because when I did, then when I'd pull my trousers up, it would then like move up, and then you just have a. Like, do you remember I think you did it at school where you'd have you'd have like a frame, like a square frame, and then you'd throw it, and you'd be like, "Ooh, what conservation is in the?" You'd be like, "Oh, there's some shrubs and a couple of bees," and so that's that's framed. Anyway, I'm a comedian. I think if I'm known for anything in comedy, it's that I'm quite open and honest about my mental health problems, but. If I'm completely honest with you, that hasn't really been a conscious decision. That's more of a case of people meet me and then they need an explanation. Yeah, but I feel a bit like a fraud because there's one thing that has probably been responsible for the majority of my mental health problems that I've never really spoken about on stage. So I feel a bit like, do you remember, what's that there? All these hairs that keep growing out of my... I was at this hotel at the weekend and the light was different and I was just like... Sorry, you were not the person I thought you were. It was just here on my Adam's apple. Do I have an Adam's apple? I don't know how you. I think I do. Like I do worry about my gulp. Like when I'm at when I'm at the cinema and I always think, oh, I wonder if I'm putting them off because of my. We're not like pelicans though, aren't we? Just like dropping in fish whilst we're watching. Anyway, I feel like a fraud because like I just said, I did this yesterday. I went off on a tangent. I just kept repeating the same bit over and over again. I feel a bit like, do you remember years ago there was that guy that opened a tin of tuna and then in the tin of tuna they thought it was this adorable creature, but it turned out it was this parasite that lives on fish tongues. That just like clamps. Yeah, but you wouldn't really know about that unless you were in a fishmonger's and you thought a fish was giving you the eye and you went up to it and was like, blah, blah, blah. But would you ever truly know a fish was giving you the eye unless you were an identical twin standing in opposite ends of a room? Because fish tend to have quite easty-westy vision. I've got quite easty-westy nipples. I've never said that before. The first job I ever had was I was 12 and I did a paper round, and it was 521 papers for £5.21. And if that wasn't bad enough, they'd then throw in a free gift. So then you'd have to carry round 521 of whatever the fuck they chose to have as a free gift. And was it anything like flat that you could just pop in the paper, like a bookmark or a crisp? No, it was 521 light bulbs, right? And not even in their boxes, so you could like stack them up. Just 521 light bulbs bareback, just wanging about my sack willy-nilly. And I was brought up in Cornwall, and I was brought up like a terraced house here, and then there was like a river here, and then like a tarmac bit here, and then 2 housing estates, and then that's where I'd deliver the papers to. And there was a little row of 3 on my paper route that was the most troublesome. The house on the left belonged to a man with no door. And I feel like my facial expression's really good today. I don't know. I just thought, I think you're pulling some good faces, Harriet. And because I was saying earlier, I do worry about, because you know when people, like the smile naturally is like that, but like my smile is like Wallace and Gromit. So I do worry. got no cheese. What was the man with no door? The man with no door. And he would wear big baggy denim jeans with string wrapped around them. And my mum always used to say that she'd pass him in the street and she'd always think, oh, there's something unsavoury about him. And I never really understood what she meant by that. I thought, does she pass him in the street and think that man's pudding? That's what I always thought. Maybe it's like a Cornish thing as well, because I was once at a service station and then I got out of my car and then I'd been going very slow that day, and then there was rustling coming from the bushes, and then this man emerged and topless, which I always think that I need to clarify that he did have a torso, and he had. And he had the big baggy jeans with string wrapped around them, but he had like these pubes like tufting over the top of his jeans, and I was there with my flute making them dance. That's why. Puby, fluty dance. The man with no door. The man with no door, you might think, oh, well, Harriet, surely it'd be easier to deliver a paper to someone that had no door. Well, negative, dear Watson, because in his garden was just loads of broken up bits of combine harvester, and it's a lot to take on, isn't it? I knew this girl called Scarlett, like Pimpernel, and she was playing outside once, and then her ball went in his garden. She went there to get it, lost her toe. Yeah. So what I'd do is I'd stand like beyond the garden, and then I'd like line up the paper. This makes no difference. Does it? Oh, maybe a little bit. Does it? Ooh. And then I'd like, God, I'm too lanky for this stage. And then I'd like go like that, go through sometimes it would go in the hole where the door should be. Sometimes it wouldn't, but I think, well, calm your cockles, Mr. Unsavoury, because it's not my fault you've reenacted the popular board game Mousetrap in your front garden. I guess it's just Trap where there's no mice involved. Isn't it really? Oh yeah, and so that was the one on the left. The one on the right belonged to these pro skateboarding twins, which I didn't think I needed to clarify this, but apparently so. That I mean professional, not for skateboarding. I don't know. I don't know who's against it, unless you've got maybe like a nice drive and them coming with their trucks and dredging up your gravel, maybe, I don't know. But professional skateboarding twins. It's just fantastic. They were earning a living out of skateboarding by the time they were teenagers, which I just think is great. Rustling. I don't know, who's rustling there? It's not. Who? Do you know? No, it's not. It's these bloody hearing aids. Just for some reason, I thought I'd be able to chat to people better, but I could just hear crisp packets and nature. Fucking squirrels from 10 miles away. And they've got drones. No. And the other day, completely true, I had to tell him I had to calm his goggles down because his puffer jacket was too loud. Just fucking rustling away. Yeah. Yeah, so no, that is me. And to be honest, I should be creating enough laughter to cover up the sound of rustling. So it's entirely on me. So rustle away. Yes. Unless imagine if the rustling was actually because you're changing the bedding of a chinchilla in the middle of the... I'd love that. Has anyone met a chinchilla? Did you not have them in school? We had chinchillas come in. Well, not that sounds like they came in suits. They came. Did it? They came in because they bathe in sand. Isn't that fantastic? Yeah. But then you think, because whenever I go to the seaside, and then I just, oh my lord, and you have it's just pouring out of everywhere for years. So imagine if you, well, not for years, just like a gritter. That's quite some imagery. The pro skateboarding twins. So they say, don't they? They say don't meet your heroes. But I think in this case it's more of a case of don't meet your heroes' pets, because it's their dog I had an issue with. Little scamp, that dog. Oh. I don't know whether it looked at me and saw something in my eyes or what it was, but this dog every single day would bite me. And let me tell you, when you're 12, getting bitten every day by a dog takes its toll. So after a while, I said to my mum, I'm not enjoying this. I was crying every day before I was doing the paper round because it was just getting bitten by this dog. And I thought my mum would see the sadness it was causing me, so then she'd say, do you know what, you don't have to do it. But what she said was, what you need to do, Harriet, is confuse the dog. So what you need to do is dress up as the dog. I'm sorry, what? This is an insight into my upbringing. And then, so my mum has taken me to the haberdashery to create this dog outfit. To be fair to her, it was fantastic. And it, like this off-white and all furry, and it even had guitar strings for whiskers. And then the next day, I'm off to deliver the fucking paper, and then and then the dog hasn't heard me as quickly as it usually would, I think, due to my now very heavily textiled footsteps. And then when it did come, it was just looking at me like, is that girl that usually delivers the papers? Are those guitar strings for whiskers? And then it's just come at me anyway, like open mouth snarling at me. So I've had to think quick, so I've stuck a light bulb in its mouth. Ding! And so then, as I was leaving, there was a skateboard up against the wall. So I was like, oh, well, I'm having that. It's compensation, in it. So then I've taken that off, I've popped, and then not really thought much more of it, to be honest. And then over the years, if I was like travelling about and that, if I had a bit of time to kill, I'd always have a look in W.H. Smith's and if there was a skateboarding magazine, and if there was an interview with the pro skateboarding twins, I'd always read by it and read the magazine and stuff, read the article. And then one day, there was this interview with them, and it was talking about lifestyle, and they said that they used to burn the candle at both ends and all that. But then one night they went to this party, had a mad one, and the next day they were on a come down, and this one's gone, oh yeah, my brother said, I have just seen a giant dog on a skateboard. with a bag full of light bulbs. And I've gone, bloody hell, John, you're in a worse state than I thought you were. So I've gone downstairs to make him a cup of coffee to sober him up. And there I have seen our dog with one of the giant skateboarding dog's light bulbs in its mouth. So we never touched a drop of drink or drugs ever again. And I thought, flipping it, maybe that's my life's paso doble, that I'll create these experiences for people that are so whimsical and out there that it will force them to have an epiphany and change their ways, you know. So for instance, say there's a single father watching his daughter play football of a Sunday afternoon, and then I'll go up to him and I'll like whisper in his ear, all right, Tony, now's the time to talk about your trauma. And then Tony will like nod his head, he knew this day was coming, and then he's looked behind him and I'm clearly dressed like a giant squid. And then we both just walk off across the football pitch. What a beautiful silhouette with my tentacles over his shoulder. And yeah, changed his life. Never ate calamari again. And that's might think now that was a chef's kiss, actually crab claws. It's the aquatic section of the show. I had a great, like my mum and dad are just fantastic, really good people, really love them, bless them. And I thought that they had this fantastic relationship growing up, and I like wanted a piece of that action really. I just thought I saw how in love they were, and then I was desperate to like have a relationship from a young age, which is old actually, and quite liberating doing this show, because I would ask everybody out at school and everyone would say no, and I thought it's because I've always been quite androgynous and look like this and not how a lady should look. But now I realise just people didn't want long-term relationships at the age of 5, so it's quite liberating. Yeah, but it's quite dangerous as well, really, because I was so desperate for, sort of to be with someone that then if ever anyone was interested, I never thought to question it or anything. And so when we were on terraced houses, and then I had a neighbour a couple of doors down. We'll call him Gordon, but his real name is one of the other tank engines, and he was quite sexually curious. So he was 14, I'm 12. I didn't really understand any of that. You didn't even have the proper internet then. You had the ding 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 ding. You had that. I like the idea that I don't really say what that is. So I like the idea that when people leave, hopefully at the end, they'll go, oh yeah, it was all right, that show, but about a quarter of the way in, I think she picked up some sort of frequency. I like the idea of that. Anyway, so Gordon was like, he would want to play this game, and it was like, you basically, he'd go, we'll just write down stuff, what we want to do to each other, and then put it in a hat, and then draw it out and do it to each other. And I didn't really understand what that was. So I wrote down, let's make each other sandwiches. And and he took that as he should put his knob in my mouth. Bloody DLT. Dick, lettuce and tangerine, because you need something citrusy yet sweet to cover up the horrible taste of penis. And then one day he goes, do you want to see something cool? Does a bear have tits in the woods? Absolutely. He goes, right, get in this wardrobe. So I got in this wardrobe and we watched his sister and his sister's boyfriend have sex. And again, I didn't really understand what it was, but I knew it wasn't right that I was watching, because I thought, well, if it is right that I'm watching, I wouldn't be hiding in a wardrobe. Would I? But I think it probably traumatised her as well. She's probably had to have a nightlight on ever since, otherwise she sees the whites of eyes peeping at her from the shadows. I like to think as well that she hears this on a loop. There's a peeper in the wardrobe, I don't know what to do. There's a peeper in the wardrobe, they must quite like the view. And then a dubstep bass kicks in. So I think I'd seen too much too soon sexually from like a young age. So I started like acting up at school. So I was always in trouble for aggressive kiss chase. And what I also used to do is I'd stand in this bush with my summer dress on. It was a seasonal crime. And then I'd like flash my bits at people. No. No. And I was worried at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival that there was probably someone else doing a show going, oh, my life was perfect. And then this girl used to flash her bits at me. And it all spiralled out of control. But yeah, I only stopped flashing my bits because one day there was a dead rabbit in the bush with me and I didn't want to get myxomatosis of the fanny. Yeah. And you might be like, Harriet, you've lost us there. How would you know about myxomatosis at the age of 12? Well, I'm glad you've given me this opportunity to clear that up for you. My dad, this is completely true, my dad, when I was 5, bought me a soft toy rabbit that he named myxomatosis. Isn't that weird? Is that odd? Yeah. Really weird. And then we went on this boat trip once in Cornwall, and it was the 90s, so I was doing the Macarena, and I've accidentally macarined this rabbit overboard, and then I'm just screaming, myxomatosis! No! So that's how I knew about myxomatosis. Yeah. I've got a little brother, but little was like 5 years younger than me. So when I was 12, he was 7, and we used to bond over this game. I always want to ask if anyone's heard of it, but that would be odd because I made it up. It's called The Pasty People. What a game. And you play it every Sunday, God's Day. As we all know, God has a penchant for a predominantly meat-filled pocket. And on the God's Day, I will get in my brother's bed, and then the duvet is the pastry. And then my brother would either be beef skirt, swede, onion, potato, or if he's being facetious, salt and pepper. And I am the gristle. And the object of the game is for the gristle to capture the other ingredients, and the movements of the gristle. Did you hear that then? I just did a burp, like a weird... But I never know whether they're... You know those burps that are like... Yeah, you never know whether... But I always feel like I need to point it out just in case you thought, that's disgusting. But it... You know those ones? Imagine if I had gills behind my ears. And I didn't know, and then when I went to the sea, I just went back to my natural habitat. What? Anyway, so the movements, yes. Have you ever thought that you have gills behind your ears?
Not quite gills, but I'm like in the thought of you having gills.
So I think maybe we should just fuck this off and go to the seaside. Imagine if I was full off. And I've got the dolphins on my... Could be a sign I've cosmic ordered my fins. What is happening? So, where am I in this pasties? The movement of the gristle is as follows. Capture death. And this was in the days before you had bloody memory foam mattresses, so I was doing this on springs. Should probably be an extreme sport or an Olympic. Well, you couldn't have it as an Olympic sport because no one would be able to enter past the Tamar Bridge. Because you can't be having a pasty from... Oh my God. I realise this is caused. But that's what the Cornish say. Oh, well, I'll tell you, another scandal I've brought with me was I accidentally, in Cornwall, I said the ingredients of the pasty, I fucking said turnip instead of Swede, and it caused a fucking catastrophe. Oh. Do you remember them? Oh, those that, oh. I got my mum always had an itchy back, so I got her at Disneyland once on a school trip and projectile vomited. And do you know what? It's funny. Funny I should say that actually, because I remember on the Disneyland trip on the bus on the way there, these two girls, they were sitting in front of me. They turned back and they went, "You've got a massive Adam's apple." So that's really mad. That I just thought, that it all comes. Why did I tell you that? Yeah, so I got my mum this itching stick with Mickey's hand on it, but I didn't realise that it did. Oh, so you just hear my mum like late at night. Oh, and then oh, right. What the fuck is happening down there? So I said that that I thought my parents had this wonderful relationship. Well, turned out my dad was gay. We had no idea. He was born in the why would you know? He was born in the late 40s when it was still illegal to be gay. Isn't that mental? So he's brought up in Cornwall as well. I mean, Cornwall's backwards at the best of times, let alone when you're gay, living on a farm. Living on a farm. And I never said that before. That's funny, that. But no, it was very sad for him. Very stifling. Yeah, really sad. So he was so I think he did what a lot of people would, and it must have happened a lot because there was a few people in my class at school that also had, gay dads, because I imagine they thought, well, I've got to sort of settle down with a lady because that's what I'm supposed to do and then have kids and that. But all this time he was like a pressure cooker of dick. And then, and then eventually lid flew off. There was bloody Dick Ahoy. Dick Ahoy. That was me pretending I'm on a boat. The boat of Dick. What? And my mum, God bless her, she had no idea, and she was only ever with my dad and all this, and so she was really upset. So they were arguing a lot, and I remember one time they had this massive argument, and then we got fish and chips for tea. Then they've had this massive argument, threw fish and chips at each other, and then stormed off. And then me and my brother have just gone round picking up bits of fish and chips, and then we've got in the bath, which I still don't understand, and ate the fish and chips. And it's quality family moments like that. You just can't put a price on. So it wasn't as fun to be home anymore. And then I used to always love cycling. I always used to find cycling really cleared my head, which now when I've put all this together for this show, I think, it's sad that a child would need to clear their head, really. Never really thought of that, but I loved cycling. And Mum would say, don't leave the tarmac bit at the back of the house where everyone that had cars, they parked their cars there. But it was only tiny, and my brother would just take up the whole space, just going round and round in a tiny circle. And then Mum would watch him from the window, and he just throw himself onto the floor. My mum would be like, oh, bloody hell, he's flopped himself off again. And that always made me laugh. Didn't even understand it. I thought, that is funny that he has flopped himself off. And then in a similar vein, once we went to, my gran was in a nursing home, and then we got a taxi back home after, and I don't know what was wrong with the taxi driver. I think he was on drugs or something, because he was driving like this. And then my mum was trying to say, she was saying to him, what she meant to say to my brother was, Joe, put your seatbelt on. But what she said was, Joe, get your strap on, Joe, put your strap on. And I was like, that is something different, Vivian. But then I thought, well, maybe that would wake the taxi driver up. If he's looked in the rear-view mirror and there's my brother with I'll take it from it. Sharp left. So So I'd go off cycling, and I started chatting to this guy. Well, I guess he was a guy. He was 18, but he had quite a young face. He had the face of, do you know that guy from East 17 that ran himself over with a jacket potato? He had the... Do you know what I mean? Brian Harvey from East... No? It's not, it won't change your life, knowing or not knowing. Well, I think if you Googled him, he's quite a sad chap, really. Because he turned up at the Houses of Parliament with a spreadsheet or something recently that he'd been held kidnapped. Held hostage. That was very sad. I hope he gets the help he needs. But anyway, he ate 6 jacket potatoes, and then said it turned him so depressed, and then he ran himself over with his car. But my brother said that he gets that. My brother said that he only has to have half a jacket potato, but he feels suicidal. So must be something. Maybe it's the jacket. Have we ever thought that? What? I've gone so far off what I'm supposed to be. Anyway, so chatting to this guy, we'll call him MC, and he lived in the middle house. So you had MC in the middle, you had the man with no door, and then you had the pro skateboarding twins to the right. And I thought MC was brilliant because I always quite liked Gordon, but he never looked at me with fond eyes. He always just looked at me like I was like a just a sort of horrible. He just looked at me like shit, really. Whereas MC always looked very pleased to see me and just seemed lovely. Always asked me questions about myself and that, and always was keen to know about my bicycle. That sounded so Cornish. My bicycle. Bring, bring. And then one day he goes, because I liked boglins. Do you remember boglins? They were like these plastic. I mean, they sound shite now talking about it. Like these, like they're like plastic goblins, but lived in bogs. I think that's how they come up with it. And he goes, I've got limited edition, pack of 6, glow in the dark boglins. Do you want to see them? Does a bear have tits in the woods? Absolutely. So I've gone in his house on a hunt for boglins, and then I don't know whether he's like pushed me over so hard that I've hit my head, or he's hit me round the head with something, and I must have fallen over. And then when I've come to, he's on top of me having sex with me, and my stomach's dropped. I just knew that. Well, I knew it was bad what was happening, and I was like, I thought we got on really. I thought we were cool. I thought you quite liked me, and he didn't even look like him anymore. His face was all distorted and not too dissimilar to a boglin, actually. And then when he was done, he goes, well, that's what you are to me now, and this will happen whenever I want it to, and if you don't let it happen, then I'll kill your little brother, which I thought was quite dramatic, and didn't really. Oh, spat! I'm so sorry. I spat like a. Did you see? Oh, good. But I do quite like it when I spit, because I feel like, you know, that dinosaur that with the So it's, but yeah, sorry, bro. You've got a blanket to protect you. Did you hear? I was quite spitty, so you've got a shield. Yeah. So he said, if you tell anyone or if you don't let this happen all the time, I'll kill your little brother. And I don't think it had the desired effect when I replied with, but it's already been killed 6 times this week by the gristle. Bookmark in. So it's quite a lot, isn't it, really? So I was really selective when I was doing this show about where I do it. I didn't really want to do it everywhere, but there was one place I thought I'll definitely do it there. It's like this community centre that I've done in this old church I've done loads of shows at, and like, you know, when you look in people's eyes and you're like, one of us, you can see the trauma in everyone. So I thought it's perfect. And then I think we all know. And then but the woman that runs it, not her so much, but I know her loads over the years, and she's friends with a lot of my friends, so I was like, it's perfect. So then did the show, and then this woman was just completely different with me afterwards, but I thought, because I'm quite paranoid, so I just thought, I think I'm just imagining it, because I'm that paranoid. Once I was driving to Scotland, and then I could feel tickling on my elbows, and I was like, there are spiders making cobwebs on my elbows. So I've pulled over. It was the aircon. Of course it was the aircon. So that's what we're dealing with, you see. So I was like, of course. And so she was completely different with me. And then some friends that I knew went to see the show, and they said they got home that night to an email from her apologising on behalf of me and my show, and then she emailed me the next day and was like going on about trigger warnings. I needed to do more trigger warnings, all this business, and then she said, she goes, which is, well, I mean, it's by email, so but we do that, don't we? We how we've taken it with that. Anyway, so she's gone. I think it's safe to say that people will need a couple of days to process all of what you told them. That's what she said to me. And I said, sorry, has someone said something specifically, or are you just upset on behalf of no one whatsoever? She's upset on behalf of no one whatsoever. bookmark out. So I was still 12. It was a very long year, and I was still doing this fucking paper round. Oh dear. And I didn't tell my mum what was happening because I thought my mum would be like, what you need to do is confuse the rapist. So you need to dress up as to the haberdashery. That's what I thought she'd do. And at the time, at the time, EastEnders was massive, and Sonia in EastEnders was pregnant, and she didn't know she was pregnant, and then she like secretly went into labour. Well, no, that wasn't a secret anymore. She was going into labour. There's no secret, is it? Anyway, and then Big Mo, Little Mo, cardboard box, bundled her into the car. Then they put like a light on top, and then they went to hospital. And I didn't understand biology and all of that, so I was just watching this EastEnders thing like unvolving. Oh, that was nice. When I said that, I thought of loads of little voles, and they were just running around in my head. They're just so lovely, aren't they, little creatures? But not if you're infested, I imagine. Anyway. So, I didn't understand biology, and I was just absolutely petrified that I was pregnant. And that was the biggest, more than what was happening, that was what upset me the most, 100%. I just was really worried that I was going to let my parents down and suddenly go into labour. And then one day at school, I remember I spoke to this girl. I need to change. Yeah, well done. Hey? That's a car unlock. Car unlocked. Have you unlocked your car from here, or is it your ringtone? Oh, that makes more sense. Makes more sense than... Unless it's your power, yeah, and you've got all the cars here. It's free for all. You could just rob any car. Hopefully not my car. That's great. I've never heard that. Yeah. So I said to this girl, Emily Berry, Harriet, I need to change the names. Emily, I said to the, I've even had it filmed and still not changed the names. This girl, bastard anyway, I said to her, I reckon I'm pregnant. And then she goes to me, what you on about? You can't be pregnant because you haven't even had your period. Now, do you want this Capri Sun or not? And I was so relieved that I wasn't pregnant that I drank a Capri Sun, and I fucking ate Capri Suns. I always think they taste like you're drinking orange squash drained through paracetamol. I do. So then there was this couple in my class at school that they met. They were actors, and they met doing Grease the musical. They were Danny and Sandy, and then they fell in love. So I thought, oh, maybe these two have faced adversity, so they could probably help me with my problems. So because what had happened was I'd stopped doing the paper round, but I just put all the papers in the river, and then people complain because they don't live underwater, and then I got sacked, and then MC sent me this letter basically saying just because you don't have the paper round anymore doesn't mean that you can't that you've gotten out of having to come round and all this business. And then so in the letter he's put, you still need to meet me as usual, but he's spelt meet me MEAT, like you will meet me with a sausage. And then, so I've shown Danny and Sandy this letter that he sent, and they've decided that because of that spelling mistake, I must have written it myself, and I've made the whole thing up. So then they've shown everyone the letter, and then everyone just thought I was like this massive weirdo, so, which, that was true, but I still needed help. And so then no one really spoke to me. And I was very upset because what part of I could spell myxomatosis at the age of 5 to these stupid bastards that I understand. Anyway, so I was just very alone, and that was my life. I would just, every day I'd go round his house and let him do what he wanted to do. And then, but we're told, aren't we? We're told that if you've got a problem, you go to the police. But long before all of this, I had this you know I love my bicycles. I had this Townsend Megaforce 1 bicycle that my mum got me. Oh, it was fantastic. Mum got me on a catalogue, right? And then it was a great day. Well, it wasn't a great day because I was so excited I accidentally ran my gran over with my with my bicycle. And she was, her hips and that, so that was awful. But then the next day I had my bicycle, the bloody garage had been broken into and the bicycle had gone. And I knew who had stolen it because it was long before all this. It was this little rat that lived down the road from me called Giles Scott. Also need to change the name. And I was looking forward, because in Edinburgh I've heard he's moved to Edinburgh, so I was looking forward to it at the Fringe. I thought, get back to him, little rat. Something else. Well, no, don't say. Well, I will tell you. This is a side note. My friend once slept with this guy, Giles Scott, and I think he might. Did someone say he lives in Bristol? Imagine if he was in the audience. Well, I don't give a shit. And he had said he had a dick like a pig, like a curly dick. Isn't that mad? Isn't that crazy? So if you sleep with someone with a curly dick, do you then spin round? Like a corkscrew. Something for us all to think about. Well, where am I? Well, yes. So I told the police that my bicycle had been stolen, and then they found the bicycle in this kid's garden, but didn't do anything because the dad was a governor and they used to go drinking with him and all that. So I was like, well, where's AC12 when you need him? And so then I was like, well, I don't trust the police. But then 4 years had passed of me, that was my life, and that was quite depressing. So I thought, I think I need to give him another go. So I went to the police station one afternoon. I feel like everything is in the afternoon in my stories, but it wasn't the afternoon. And I went in, and I was hit with this quite laddie atmosphere. They were all laughing and joking with each other, these three guys. And I said, hello, could I speak to a lady police officer, please? And they've all just burst out laughing. I said, okay. Okay, could I speak to one of you in private then, please? And then this one in the middle with his big, thick black moustache has gone, like, is it Tom Selleck? Like that. Anyway. And he's gone with a smirk on his face. Anything you need to say, you could just say in front of all of us. I said, oh, fine. So I said, well, this has been happening since I was 12, and I'm having a right old mare, which I found out short for nightmare. Always thought it was to do with a horse. Always thought, why is this horse always having such a difficult time? Anyway, I'm having a horse. I don't really know what to do. And if I stay in, he does stuff to my house. And then if I go out, he'll just drag me off on the way home. And I've even got a taxi, and he'll just, in between getting out the taxi, getting to my door, he'll just drag me off. So it's just easier to, it's easier, and it's what is expected of me to just go through with it, really. And then this guy in the middle goes, why would it be expected of you? Are you a prostitute? That's what he said to me. I'm only 16 now by this point. Like I said, it'd been happening since I was 12. And that's what he said. And then all I could think about was that there was this person that lived down our road that had a massive garden with all these gnomes in it. And then people in the night used to move the gnomes around and put stuff in the gnomes' hands and stuff. And it was like this big thing. And it was like a double-page spread in the paper, and the police were involved. And I thought, well, if only I was a gnome. And then I said to them, oh, well, okay, what about if I go out tonight, he'll drag me off on the way home, because he always does, so then you can if I just make sure it happens at this time, then you can catch him at it and then arrest him. Is that all right? And then they're just looking at me like I'm mental, so I'm like, is it all right? And they're just sort of nodding. I said, okay. So then I went out, and then on the way home, of course, he dragged me off, and then down by the river, and it had really escalated. He had like a knife to my throat, and I was just waiting for the police to come. And then I knew that the police weren't gonna come, I think, really. And then it was just happening. And like I said, I didn't put up a fight anymore or anything like that. It was just easier. So he wasn't expecting me to put up a fight. So when I knew that police weren't gonna come, I've just something in me, because I just thought, was this gonna be my life forever? And then I've just sort of grabbed the knife, stuck it in him, and then he's dropped to the floor, and then with all my might, I sort of just hoofed him in the river. But he no. But he didn't even drown. He just landed on top of all the papers. I'll put a bookmark in there. So this woman at this preview, and I want it to be clear, this isn't a show where I'm just slagging off this woman. I'm only mentioning it because all this happened like 26 years ago, and then the first time I've spoken about it since, really, this has happened. It's just really fucking disappointing, to be honest. I just like hoped for better. So that's the only reason I'm mentioning it. But she said, so she emailed me again, and she got again with her trigger warnings, but she goes, that bit about the police, you can't say that because people need to know that they can go to the police. I said, well, I've never even given an opinion. All I've done is say what's happened, so I'm more than entitled to do that. And then she goes, and you need to make it clear what bits are real and what bits you've made up. So you need to make it clear that bit with the knife you've made up. And I said, well, if I'd made it up, it'd be funnier, wouldn't I? And obviously, like with the newspapers and the dog and stuff like that, that's like embellished. Because if you didn't have stuff like this would just be a witness statement. This would really fucking hell. Bookmark out. Shoved him in the river, and then off I went home, and I genuinely thought he was dead, and that was stressful then, thinking I was a murderer. And then I had college the next day, because I'm a studious murderer, and doing my BTEC. And then I went to college, and I remember I was late, and everyone was sat round in a circle. The teacher was there, and I was sort of sat just outside, like on this table. And then this teacher, this proper hippie teacher, has gone, oh, what happened to you? Because I had 2 black eyes and all scratches on my neck and that. And so by that point, I was drinking a lot. And then it was easy for people to just, when I was like bruised or whatever, they just go, oh, you don't need to really ask it, she's just pissed all the time. So it was, and then I just play up, it was just how it was really. So I just said something like, oh, I was being cheeky, so I had to teach myself a lesson. And then she and then carried on with the lessons. But then I was watching her and I was like, do you know what? This is a right old hippie. If anyone couldn't, because she was that much of a hippie, she didn't even have shoes on. So I thought, if anyone's going to tread carefully with your problems, Harriet, it's going to be old no shoes Nora. So she's carried on with the lesson, and then I thought about it, and I've stopped it. I've gone, well, actually, no, this is what's been happening since I was 12. They all come to a head last night, and I don't really know what to do. And everyone was just quite shocked, and then this teacher just looked at me open-mouthed. I should have stuck a light bulb in it. And then she just carried on with the lesson. It was never mentioned again. And that really pissed me off, because we're told you go to the police, you tell a teacher, and I think who else tried to talk to her about stuff? And she was this lovely hippie and I think a lot of people do that. They project what they want you to think they are like, but beyond the projection, it's just not nice at all. But don't say that I am not sure I believe in karma and stuff like that, right? But I looked into what happened to her, right? And one evening, she was having a dinner or a snack, I don't know, allegedly, and she was peeling a carrot. And then her dog has ran into her, knocked her, and then she's face planted the carrot, lost an eye. Isn't that great? I thought carrots are supposed to help you see. And there was an eyewitness. That's that. There was an eyewitness that said that they seen the dog leave the scene on a skateboard with guitar strings for whiskers. No, I hadn't killed him, but I was very happy that I hadn't killed him, because then he would have been the victim, and he just had a shock, so he left me to it after that. I'd see him out and about, and I think, well, like I said, I think he just had a shock. So I sort of tried to gather a life, really, but everywhere I went in Cornwall was just quite a reminder, quite triggering. So I left Cornwall, but what I learnt was, wherever you go, your brain is still in your head. So I was just in fucking Wolverhampton feeling shit, which is worse than Cornwall. Yeah, it's like sort of self-harm, I think that is. No, I'm sure it's lovely. Well, you lived there for ages. I did, yeah, and it wasn't. I don't know why. Might have a sip of water. Hey, H2O. Stay hydrated. So I just tried to gather a new life really, and then it took ages. It took like 10 years until I was like learned to trust again and discovered comedy, and that was great because I then for the first time I'd become obsessed with something that wasn't drink and drugs and stuff. It was something quite productive, and I felt like I sort of fitted in there because everyone was off their tits, didn't they? So that really changed everything for me. And I started living by myself, and because I lived in a house share, so I didn't feel safe by myself. But the house shares, I was with this one couple who lives and he was banned from Manchester when there was a football match on because he was that was stressful. Who likes football that much? It's just yeah, and then they talk about like the like it's there. Oh yes, well you weren't a part of it. That's the official chant. Anyway, lived by myself. Was quite happy, and then one day I had this neighbour, lovely chap, but he had some friends around. They were quite loud. And I'd had a strange week. My emails had got hacked. Didn't really think anything of that. My wall outside my house just kept getting knocked down. And then I said to my friends, my wall keeps getting knocked down. And they were like, oh, that'll be the weather. I said, will it be the weather? Because people's bloody bins haven't been knocked over. I'm no Poirot, but I reckon it goes bin before wall. Is what I'd say. Anyway, so then my neighbour had some friends round, and they were loud, so I turned my TV up loud, and then it's got to like 2 a.m, and there's a knock at the door, so I'm like, oh no, it'll be that he's had his friends leave, and then he's like, why is our TV up so loud? Because it's like nana loud. So when I've had this knock at the door, I've just opened the door straight away, and it's him. 10 years later, at my door. Yeah. Just like, and I felt like, he just waited till I was all right, and he's forced himself on me again, and then, and I tried to escape in my house. Why didn't I leave the house? Tried to run away in my house and face planted my cactus. So then, when he'd gone, I thought, you know what, you should probably go to the police again. So I got to the police station, and do you know what? They were nicer. Still lost my file, but they were nicer. And we did have a laugh, me and this police officer, because she put me in front of the mirror and was like, you do look like Pinhead from Hellraiser with the... So I thought maybe that's why they was taking me seriously, because I've always made a joke out of it all. But then I think, however which way anyone needs to process their trauma, fucking let them. But I don't think the police officer should have put me in front of the mirror and told me I look like Pinhead from Hellraiser. And it was shit. And then, so we got caught, and then 3 weeks after, I got a phone call, and he'd killed himself. Yeah. Massive cunt was dead. And that was, And I felt like a big weight had been lifted, both actually and metaphorically, because he hanged himself. So that was, so I felt happy, but then I felt like a piece of shit for feeling happy. Then I felt like a piece of shit for feeling like a piece of shit for feeling happy. And then I was still trying to process what had just happened, because I didn't leave the house or anything like that for a very long time. I was just deeply traumatized, just didn't want to be it at all. And then I just focused on existing for quite a while, and then eventually one day wasn't quite as bad as the last, and then it was just sort of got a bit easier, I guess. But I'd result. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here. I obviously wasn't ready to like date or anything like that for fucking millions of years, but yeah, I always thought I'd be single forever. But well, because when you date and stuff, like this was about 10 years after, people always go, oh, I just want to know everything about you, and then you tell them, and they're like, sweet Jesus. No, not that everything. Yeah, and then like like call me old-fashioned, but I quite like sex when it's consensual. But then a lot of that is quite triggering. So that's difficult. And then there was one guy I went on a date with, and I got bipolar, and he noticed in my bum bag I had my bipolar medication, and he said, "In my bum bag, who's dating me with a bum bag?" Hello, hello. And he goes, "Oh, what's that?" And I said, "Oh, it's my bipolar medication." And he goes, "Oh, bipolar? Does that mean you're going to murder me in the night?" I said, "Well, it didn't mean that." Yeah. And then I met, my partner, I met him on fucking plenty of bloody fish. I waded through the algae, and then it's proper wonky. But you know when people go, oh, when you meet the right person, it's easy. It's just very easy. I don't have to leave bits out of what's happened because it might gross them out and stuff like that. It's just very easy, and he's just like lovely, really. And we fell in love quite quickly, and we were gonna fuck off before COVID and that. We were gonna fuck off to Vegas to get married. And I said, well, instead of like a white dress, I would quite like to get married in a white suit like Elvis Presley. And instead of saying I do, I'll be like, oh, thank you very much. And he said, that sounds great. That's when you know. That's when you know that they are a Bruce Grobbelaar, a keeper. Very good. Final bookmark in. So when we do, everyone might know this, but when you do previews, you like record the audio so you can like work on the show like back in your own time and stuff. Oh, I once did this gig, and then I was talking to it, going, "Oh, that bit's good, Harriet. Keep that in." And I just started an extra stopwatch, so I was just talking to the stopwatch, as well as the stopwatch on my arm. Oh. Anyway, so I recorded it, and then I didn't listen to that preview because it traumatised me. So then 8 months later I thought, you know what, I will listen to it. And then I did trigger warnings for about 3 minutes at the beginning of the show. So 8 months after, I have emailed this woman. Excuse me, Louise, I think you'll find I did the fucking trigger warnings. And then she goes, oh, I didn't bother listening in the beginning. So that's why the show's called Trigger Warning. There's your fucking trigger warnings, Louise. Merry fucking Christmas. Yeah. Yeah, things just got better, really. My partner's got 4 kids, and then the kids all... I say better, that wasn't really better, was it? But then all the 4 kids moved in with us because they weren't deemed safe with the mother, which was very sad. Because so they all moved in with us. And this is completely true. They so when the social took them and moved them in with us, the kid's mum, God bless her, she won't speak ill of her. I'll tell her this to her face from a distance. She's like, you know, those women that you see on the front page of Take a Break magazine that are like, I left my husband for a spatula. You know, that's what you can't help who you fall in love with. And so when that's happened, she's then rang us and gone, fine, if you're going to take my kids, come and have my cats too. So we've now got 4 kids, 3 cats, a grandma and a lizard. And the lizard looks a lot like the grandma because it's a chameleon and they've spent a lot of time together. This is how I know that you are my people. I have done that joke for the whole of last week, and I've just been looked with. I was like, it's a very clever joke. I'm just, your children are lizards. Yeah, so we got the. I love the kids, and I'm definitely not trying to. I'm not trying to be the kids' mum. I really understand that. Because she's had a sort of similar life, abuse growing up and that, and she's just, I know how easy it is to sort of use drink and drugs to sort of block it all out and that, so I totally get it. I think we're both on a path to making sense of it all, but she's just got a little bit sidetracked. So like I say, I'm definitely not trying to be the kid's mum, but I put a bookmark in there for her for when she's ready to take it out and carry on. So we've sort of, I'm having a lovely life now, really. And I've done a higgledy-piggledy, though, like with counselling and all stuff like that. I was on the emergency waiting list for counselling for 8 years. And, yeah, and then... So you sort of have to figure it out yourself. And then when I had my counselling appointment, I was so excited. I skipped there, and it was snowing, so we were sliding around really. And then it was first thing in the morning, and then as I was going in, there's this just in front of the door, the door, there was this like black thing on the floor, and I was like, oh, that's a glove, that is. So it's probably because it's first thing in the morning, probably one of the counsellors has dropped one of their gloves, so I'll give them their glove and they'll be like, bloody hell, that's great, I was going to have a cold hand, now I got 2 warm hands, how will I repair you? I'll fix your brain. That's what I was thinking. So I've picked it up, gone in, and then I've gone through the door, everyone's just looking at me horrified. I've picked up a dead rat. I've picked up... Who doesn't look at what they're picking up? It's like, good morning, here's a rat. Like some sort of fucked up Cinderella. Is this your rat? Yeah, awful. But yeah. But yeah, things are all right now, and if life's not perfect, as in the world's fucked up, but so if there ever is a problem, my partner will always go, he'll go, oh, what's wrong? And I'll say, and without fail, he'll always say, what can I do to help? And I realised that's all I ever wanted anyone to say. And that's the show. Thank you. Cheers, thanks.